Wow, isn't that amazing? A show with Giacomo Zucco back to back. Unfortunately, this is not going to be an entirely new show, but just the end of the last show, which apparently, due to my lack of internet connection and lack of enough Bitcoin to buy the new Purism laptop, I did not have internet connection and the entire stream broke down. Giacomo has 10 more minutes, so we're going to just briefly finish up about what we all talked about and give you all a nice, extraction. And of course, we still have Coin Package on. So maybe let's start with you, Coin Package. We talked for about an hour. What can you highlight? What are the things that are important in this philosophy?
Yeah, sure. I think key things to highlight are, you're born with your rights, right? And then also you have the right to defend them, and you shouldn't feel pressured. You shouldn't, feel, worried that you have to defend them in a sense that you have to share everything. You shouldn't have to feel pressure to do that. You should always be looking out for that. But we do understand that it is very difficult to control and be on top of everything and see what's happening around the world, and also remain private. So, but those are my main highlights for the show. But yeah, Giacomo.
Well, I think that what could sum up my contribution to what you guys said, which I agree completely with what has just been said right now. My contribution could be just that having the option to protect and defend your rights alone is an option. It's fun, it's cool, but it's often not enough if you don't have a network effect. The only way you can protect your rights and your privacy and your freedom without the others is at least very, very expensive for you in terms of giving up a lot of the things you would like to do. So it's a little bit, Ayn Rand, Gauss Gauche. So you can get off society and stay in a little town with a pack of other few people who respect your rights, and you can respect each other's rights. But then you are off the grid. You are completely outside of opportunities and families and things you like to do and the world around you. So the cool, I mean, it's good to be able to defend your rights, but the cool thing would be to create systemic tendency, systemic trends that make everybody else also defend their right because of convenience, because of incentives. And there are basically, so as we were saying before, anonymity sets. It's important that you can stay anonymous, but it's important that the greatest possible number of people stays anonymous as well. So in order to achieve this, I think that the two most important things are, one, culture. So we have to help to create a culture in which keeping your privacy is not a bad thing. So if you want to hide your private information, that's not a bad thing, including and especially to the government and from the government. And this is so a cultural problem right now, recycling garbage is good, but recycling money is not. I mean, recycling is environmentalist. There's nothing bad with recycling. It's an environmentalist move. And so what I want to say is that culture is important, and also the other important thing is trade-off between user experience and convenience of tools and security. Right now, the software industry is really divided between one, the nerds, they are good in building secure things, but they are all for command line and they cannot understand the friction of a normie. Then you have the normies, they are all about UX and they are easy to fall for any kind of technological scam. They cannot trust the real engineers. They are too eager to just buy everything that has some kind of colored lights around it. So we need to build a bridge between easy UX and security. We need to have the geeks a little bit more patient about some kind of needs of the normies, and we have the normies a little bit more picky and choosy about the the underlying security of what they are choosing and what they are doing. So it's a process, and I think that we can help this process because it's cool if you can be privacy, if you can protect your privacy alone, but it's better if you can protect your privacy in group.
Yes, absolutely, Giacomo. And you said that we really have to go out there and do something and use it, and that is important. And because we are all Bitcoiners, of course, the question is, how can we use it in Bitcoin itself? So maybe one more last quick fire round. How can we implement this privacy stuff in Bitcoin? What are the new technologies that can maybe make it so? And especially the question, can we do it with a soft fork, which by definition is opt-in, right? But doing a hard fork has all the problems. We know that. So can we do this privacy opt-in in a Bitcoin soft fork or second layer? Coin packages, what are your thoughts?
I think it could be done via a layer 2 solution. I think a hard fork might be too hard to convince everyone. And I actually don't have a solution on hand to explain that, but it's a great question. I think we should think about that. Honestly, the whole Bitcoin community should be thinking about that type of question and the solution to it.
So I think that privacy can be improved in Bitcoin, can improve very, very much using tools like the Lightning Network itself. If we use Lightning Network with a little bit of hopes, so we use the onion routing, not paying everybody directly, but with some hopes, the onion routing feature of Lightning Network can be great for privacy. It means that nobody except the payer and the payee has the complete information about the payment. And when you close the channel, you don't have the detailed information of the previous states. You only have the final settlement, let's say. So Lightning Network, a huge Lightning Network adoption could be great. Also, there are technologies like CoinJoin, which works pretty well in order to mix coins. One of the problems of CoinJoin is what we discussed until now. So CoinJoin, even if it's not a soft fork, it's something built at the wallet level, at the infrastructure level. It's not a change in Bitcoin protocol, but still it is opt-in. So we have the whole problem of the anonymity set, of the liquidity. The interesting thing is that you can create economic incentives in order to be paid to provide liquidity. Like Join Market is a very, very good application built by very cool Bitcoiners. And Join Market is a way in which people who want to make some money can provide liquidity to people who want to buy some privacy. And that's an incentive which is opt-in, but with an incentive mechanism that can grant the people we go there. Lightning Network is similar. There is no reason for people to use Lightning Network for privacy because people don't value privacy. But since you need to use Lightning Network in order to save money for the fees and to save time for the confirmation, then people will move to a more private network, not because they are forced, not because it's not opt-in. It is opt-in, but you save money. The interesting thing is that many other changes to Bitcoin that will be soft forks will be opt-in, but with stronger economic incentives. One example is Schnorr signature aggregation. If you can aggregate all the signature of the inputs of your transaction in one single signature, then you save money. And so it is opt-in, but it is a kind of opt-in that rational people will likely adopt in a mass because they are saving money. So it could be slow, but people eventually will. It is the opposite of the ZTX in Zcash, where you have to spend more in order to be private. Here you have to spend less in order to be private. So it's more convenient. So Schnorr is one example, especially for signature aggregation and scriptless scripts. That means that you create your smart contract like multi-sig stuff outside the blockchain, and you only publish a final signature. This has been invented by Andrew Polstra and others for Mimblewimble, because in Mimblewimble you cannot have scripts, but you can use it in Bitcoin as well, increasing your privacy. Other protocol layer changes will be must or and graft root or and taproot, which will be very cool for smart contract privacy. Right now, when you hide Bitcoin, you store Bitcoin in a multi-sig. When you spend it, everybody knows the list of public keys. Everybody knows where the Bitcoin were stored before. So you give up your internal signature strategy. While with stuff like Must and partially also Script Must and Graph Truth, you should be able to have more privacy, opt-in, but saving money. So this saving money side can compensate the opt-in side. This is not the case, unfortunately, for cool things like confidential transaction. Like many people ask, can we put confidential transactions, which basically hides the amounts on Bitcoin? It's tricky because first, it's a huge change. Second, the security assumptions are different and more shaky. You don't have perfect binding on the amount, and so you can have inflation accidents. Third, sending a confidential transaction will cost more, not less. So the only way you can do that is basically making it mandatory. Otherwise, nobody will, not a significant amount of people will use CT, and so CT will get back to be useless again. So I think there are a lot of cool technology going on for privacy in Bitcoin, especially at the second layer, as Coin Package says, and it's going to be a very, very interesting couple of years.
Oh, absolutely, Giacomo. And guys, if there were a lot of new technologies on there that you haven't heard about, go research them, because it's all fascinating stuff. But I see, Giacomo, we really have to do another show on this and going really more into depth and into more details.
Gladly.
Something that I just found out today about, or actually, well, Blockstream published it today, is here. The pay to endpoint, which is basically a coin join, but with only the sender and receiver. So there are no other parties involved, but the sender and receiver, so Alice and Bob, do do a coin join with their own Bitcoins. Really interesting stuff, especially with because it does not need any protocol upgrade. It can be used as is today, just needs the code to be hashed out and be efficient. So that's absolutely curious. And well, one more thing that we can work on. So literally, there's a lot of different technologies here how we can improve that. Well, but we need to end this show here, unfortunately. But I hope that we can schedule another more in detail episode here with Giacomo, because that was amazing.
Sure.
So thank you all the listeners. Thank you all the listeners out there, and thank you for being active in the chat. And of course, thank you Coin Packets for joining us here. So maybe your last words, and where can the people find you?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to speak to both of you, Max and Giacomo. Always good to get some more Bitcoin education. You could reach me on Twitter at Coin Packets, and just one thing I'm working on is a website that actually grades different cryptocurrencies. I have a team here that I work with, that we build algorithms and just run all different types of currencies through the algorithm to see how they score. And well, what do you know? Bitcoin scores very high with our algorithms. So if you want to feel good about that, and keep an eye on what's happening in terms of how certain cryptocurrencies stack up, you can visit coinshakedown.com and take a look at that and see what you think. But that's me.
Always nice. Yeah, of course, Coin Packets. Always nice when the the algorithm tells the true stuff about Bitcoin. So that's good. Because we know it. We just need the algorithm to pat us on the back and say, yeah, you're right. Bitcoin is the best.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Probably not the same algorithm used by the Chinese government when they ranked like NEO as the first cryptocurrency, and then it's Bitcoin like number 17.
Yeah, they use a paper and pen algorithm.
Exactly.
I think it's flipping a coin, more likely, but probably a combination of both. So Giacomo, again, thank you so much for joining. It was absolutely an honor to talk to you and a pleasure, because you know, you're amazing. You do a lot of work. So maybe your last words, and tell the people what all you're doing and where they can find you.
So I'm mostly working on trying to get money on Bitcoin development. So the things I'm doing since 3 years is find ways to sponsor Bitcoin development in complicated ways. So sometimes I have this consulting job for a financial institution that pays for no-profit open source projects. So with my for-profit company, which is Blockchain Labs Switzerland, I do the for-profit consulting part. With BHB Network, I do the support on the open source no process projects. Right now, the hot projects that we are doing in BHB is RGB, which is an attempt at doing blockchain assets in a way that does not suck, unlike all the other ways. So it's interesting, like it's assets on top of a Lightning Network, basically, with some of Peter Todd's ideas, and we are working very much on that. You can find me easily on Twitter, at Giacomo Zucco, but since yesterday I have been banned by Twitter for no reason for a few hours, and people started to use my face like the crypto Twitter Nelson Mandela for 1 hour, and everybody said you have to join Mastodon because Twitter censored Giacomo Zucco. So now I'm forced to use Mastodon as well because I was the symbol of that fight yesterday. So I'm Mastodon, and the thing about Mastodon kind of represent much of our discussion today about convenience and ease of use and UX and censorship resistance. So I suggest you to read this stuff and check what Mastodon is. I'm still a little bit skeptical that stuff like this can overthrow Twitter. I'm still skeptical, unfortunately, but it's worth a try and it's worth some study for sure.
Yeah, that is fantastic, and we probably could do an entire show about that also, and the entire Twitter fiasco, which we wanted to get into, but well, the conversation just didn't take us there. Just one more reason to do one more show.
Absolutely.
So, guys, again, thank you so much for joining us. Both, you know, Giacomo and Coin Packets, but of course, you all in the chat was fantastic here in 2 videos. You can find out more about me, mostly on Twitter at HillebrandMax, and then my personal website is towardsliberty.com. And if you want to join me in my effort of writing my bachelor thesis on the very interesting topic in anarchy in money and why we neither need nor want government intervention in Bitcoin, then go to towardsliberty.com/anarchy, where you can find the paper and all the stuff that we've written so far, of course, under the Creative Commons license. So it was fantastic talking to you, and see you on the next show, eventually with whoever I do not know yet, and about some topic that will interest us. So let's see there.
It was a pleasure. Bye.
Awesome. Later, guys.
Bye.